Legends, and welcome to Blunt Force Healing Podcast, episode 245. Every time I mention the number of the episode, I remind everyone that this always translates to the actual number of days that the podcast exists. And not only the podcast, but underlying it, blog that I write every day exist as well. They started together. It started with the blog, and the podcast followed. So every day I write a little bit about what super boring happened in my life, what struggles I had. I usually cover things like problems or challenges related to structure in life, to building the habits, fighting procrastination, but also things like challenges in child development because I have a son, and probably some of the listeners also have children, and they might have a very useful things to share, as well as might actually get some value from what I share. Today started very early because, as I mentioned in yesterday episode, Julian had a very important match to play in soccer, and this was a match away, so we had to drive to Killybegs, which is approximately 30 kilometers from Donegal town, where they were about to clash with St. Catherine's team. And it was a semi-final of some sort of competition at the moment. It's not yet the championship or anything official, but it was a competition regardless, and they were in semi-final because of the recent wins. So it was important match because if they won, they would play in the final. It ended up that they didn't, and there's a couple of reasons for that. I think, well, I'm not a professional coach or soccer coach to tell exactly what mistakes were made or anything like that, because the boys played very well. This is under 12 team, so, and they are development team, so they still have a lot to learn, but they have that spirit, they have passion. You can see in many of those boys that they are really driven to play. It's just the skills that they need to hone in some areas, a bit of strategy and positioning, but they really put great effort in that match. Unfortunately, they were a bit chaotic in the first, I would say, 20 minutes, and that was enough for St. Catherine's team that was well prepared and pressed a lot in the very first half to score 3 goals. And after the third goal, I was a little bit afraid that this will be a one-sided match, but it wasn't the first time that Drumbar boys proven to be able to regroup and regain control over the game. Unfortunately, they were unable to score or to equalize or win the game, obviously, but they were able to survive the rest of the first half and then control second half pretty well, causing a lot of hassle for St. Catherine's to defend themselves, and there were actually a couple of actions that might have ended with a goal. one including Julian. So great effort. They have to lick their wounds and learn a lesson from that, and next time when they play Killybegs, maybe on their home ground, they will have a little bit more advantage, because obviously there were more people cheering up for St. Catherine's because it was local, and we were uh, guests. Also, the team, obviously because of the local character, they had many more substitutes and fresh players, albeit they didn't use many of them, but definitely more than our team. Our team only had, unfortunately, one player spare, so they were on the verge of just being 11 for the whole game. And it was pretty much like that. There was only one change or swap during the game. But on the way to Killybegs in the morning, we had a funny situation that I described in the blog post, where about halfway we were following N56, I think, is the number of National Road, and it's a great road, great surface. There's a speed limit around 100 kilometers per hour, so we were going around this time within the legal, I would say, constraints. And from a distance, I saw something on the road, but I couldn't tell what was that. Was it like some object, like a piece of paper or packaging that was just kind of moving on the road and being moved by the wind? But it was quite weird type of movement. It was almost like it was something alive. So as I was getting closer and closer and started kind of um, slowing down, I saw that this is something that is very well blending with the color, the gray color of the road. At some stage, I thought it might be gray heron, which is a kind of tall bird, and I had to suddenly start braking because this thing wasn't moving at all away from the lane, and eventually we had to grind to a halt and stop, because in front of us there was a goose in the middle of the lane, and she couldn't bother less about us being there. Just after a while, kind of standing in front of our stopped car in the middle of the road, she gracefully moved away, and we could continue the drive. But it was a funny situation regardless, and it must have been even funnier for the one guy that was driving from the opposite direction on the other side of the road. So yeah, it was a cool wake up in the morning before we uh, got to that match. And yeah, today's post I titled "Balancing Act and a Goose Abuse." The goose abuse is the result of our chat with Julian after that incident with the goose, before we reached Killybegs, and we kind of had a lot of laugh and weird stories created around that, and the whole event we recorded as Goose Abuse. So this is the name that Julian gave to it, and we will always know what it refers to if we want to bring it at any stage in our lives, hopefully. Mm. But the balancing act is the important phrase to that I put in the title, because this is exactly what I did today. I pushed to balance the odds, or the recent slippage that happened again with the commitment that I will publish blog post before 8 p.m. So the last 2 days I was staying late. Yesterday I think I went as far as 3 a.m., which was ridiculous. I didn't feel very well rested in the morning, when we were about to drive, so it wasn't at all a good choice to stay that long, but that was the result of that thing, which is writing very late, recording very late, and obviously dragging beyond the midnight hour. So last week I had the same situation and the challenge where I slipped on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and recovered on Monday. And this Friday I slipped again, and Saturday was similar. So I kind of pushed to recover faster, and this is what I did. It was between 7 and 8 p.m., so a bit late to the game, but still before the committed threshold, and I did it. So it's great if I don't screw it up tomorrow. I recovered quickly, and this is exactly what we should aim for if we are learning something and we think we fail in doing something. It's very important to not treat it as a fail, but rather as a challenge and quickly regain control and get back on track. It's not about being ideal or perfect, but to learn lessons and learn that pattern and habit, to be able to reinstate it faster and faster every time we have some challenges. So, yeah, today was good. After the match, we spent a little bit of time at home, and then the whole family, my mother in law, my wife, and Julian, we packed the car and went to Rosnolach and visited the bakery shack, which is a great place to get a coffee or tea and some homemade sweets and scones, etc. And then we drove straight into the Rosnolach beach, which for many people might be weird, but in Ireland it's quite normal that many beaches are suitable for a car to drive in, and many of them have access to drive in, and people definitely use it. That opportunity to drive in. And Rosnolach is one of those beaches where you have at least, I think, 2 or 3 entry points where you can literally drive your car into the beach, which is flat and well beaten sand, perfect for a car. And yeah, the cars are basically parking there. Not great from a perspective of natural environment, but very convenient, especially for people like surfers or others. And it was a low tide, so we decided to drive closer to the shore, and I turned the car around so it was facing the actual shore, so the trunk was facing the ocean. We opened the trunk, and that provided a seating for the ladies to have a little bit of time and watch the ocean while they were consuming their bakeries and drinking their tea. And Julian and myself, we used that opportunity to play a little bit soccer or football, whatever you call it. And we could do a lot of tricks and a lot of passes because it's very spacious beach, especially in low tide, so plenty of space and lovely place to, you know, mess around with the balls. So that was pretty much it. Afterwards, we came back home. I just did a little bit of shopping for dinner, and I spent the rest of the afternoon preparing the cottage pie, quite a traditional dish for British and Irish people. And yeah, we consumed it while the rest of family were eating. I actually wrote and published the blog post because I knew that if I will eat first, sorry, I won't manage to publish it on time. So I ate later, and it was grand. Nothing else happened other than that. I just finished the cold shower, and I am going to hit the hay. I think the rest of the family is just finishing watching something downstairs. Hence, you can see there is a change of environment. Those of you that watch on YouTube, those of you that are listening, well, obviously you can't see it, but if you want to compare other episodes, you're more than welcome to go to YouTube and you can see the difference in the environment. I'm in the room upstairs just to make sure that I have enough calm space to record it. Yep, so this is Sunday, end of the week, and tomorrow is another Monday, another beautiful Monday that I'm a bit dreading, to be honest. But on the other side, it's a great day because I was invited to a paid event, but I was granted a free entry because of the way the people wanted to pay me back for the service I did for them without hesitation, and they provided me with a ticket for a hacking event, hacking party, which has a lot of great webinars, 100% content, zero sales, around the web security, network security, and all of that stuff that I'm really interested in. So I'm looking forward to the whole day of fun. And I'll probably write a little bit about it if there will be something of interest for you readers and listeners. A lot of great people, great experts in the space of white hacking and ethical hacking will be presenting, so really looking forward for tomorrow. I'll be wrapping up now. We are 17 and a half minutes in. Thank you very much for coming, and as always, I appreciate your time because obviously you can spend it on better things. Probably even funny videos would be more interesting than listening to me, but I really appreciate those of you that come here and listen, watch, or read my content. Have a great rest of the day, afternoon, or evening, depending on where you are, and stay tuned for tomorrow. Thanks.